Hello, so today we're gonna do the Vat Compass in English this time. So sorry if you don't like my accent or if you don't understand my accent, but that's how I speak in English. Yay! So let's get started. So I am not resident of Canada, which is a lie, but whatever. How many immigrants should Canada admit? I will say, oh, that's a fast question there. I will say a bit more, I guess, in a sense that I think it's important for Canada to have an interesting quantity of immigration, and in a way that if you're able to have that many people, because compared to the world population, we're only 38 millions, and therefore, yeah, I understand all the impact on economy and even sociology of immigration on Canada, but I also feel like it's part of the identity of Canada to have a huge population of immigrants. And even if maybe right now might cause an issue of having those kind of people arriving, I feel like their kids will have the Canadian identity at some point. And I also feel like it's quite important to take that into consideration, especially when in those days and age, one of the most spoken language in the world is English. And when someone take the time to learn that language, which a lot of immigrants do, or if they don't themselves, their kids will, to take that cultural identity, and therefore I feel like it's more and more easier to assimilate themselves. So somewhat more, I will say that's the solution. How much should the federal government make individual Canadians pay for every tons of greenhouse gas they emit through fossil fuel consumption? Okay, so individual Canadian, I feel... So that's an interesting question, because what you want in the future is to push people to actually use electric cars. I'm not saying that electric cars are that interesting right now, because just in terms of price, the price tag is so high on electric cars. When you compare that to like a $100 cheap car that you can buy randomly, or a 40K electric car, like, it's insane, right? So, but you want to encourage that in the future to reduce the emission, the overall emission of everyone, to do something for the environment and being less dependent of fossil fuel. And therefore, one thing in economy is to simply put a tax on that, and tada, congratulations, you just changed the price tag for everyone, and therefore they have an incentive to produce less greenhouse gas. So somewhat more might be the solution there. That's how I think. Meanwhile, I will never drive myself, so I don't care. So maybe I'm a bit biased on that. Quebec should become an independent state. I somewhat disagree. Not strongly, because I can give them a margin, let's say that. But I somewhat disagree with that, because currently what Quebec has in mind is simply the province of Quebec becoming independent, and I feel like it will be so pointless. What will be interesting, however, it's to see a French-Canadian identity nation in North America, which will be the whole New England area, so Vermont and so on, and the United States, and all the maritime province. So it can be interesting as an idea. Now the issue with that will be Newfoundland, of course, because they're not French Canadian like at all, and and Saint-Pierre-et-Miquelon, I guess, which is the small French island near near the coast. So other than that, I don't see just the province being independent, because it will be, it will. I don't know. I don't know what will be the goal to do something like that. So somewhat disagree. All semi-automatic firearms should be banned in Canada. Yeah, sure. Semi-automatic, it's insane. Actually, every automatic firearm should be banned in Canada. Semi-automatic, like, it depends, right? Because semi-automatic is also like, I'm not an expert in gun, and I understand that hunting, for instance, is quite important. But with the US right next to us, it's such a problem. You don't want to have a situation like the US with guns. And therefore, I feel like a better control on them is the solution. A bit like in Japan or in China, where every guns are banned. Just straight up banned. It's illegal to have a gun itself. Or if you have a gun, you need a specific permit for hunting. And that's it. And honestly, I feel like that's the solution. No one with gun, not even police officer. And I feel like the society will be safer like that. But you cannot just do that while, again, the US is right next to you. So I somewhat agree. How much control should the federal government have over what Canadians says online? Much less. Liberty of expression. If you have an issue with what someone is saying, bring facts, bring evidence, and let the people believe what they want. Meanwhile, if someone is aggressive, if someone is a real threat to safety, well, do something about it, but don't try to censor it. So much less. How much should Canada do to reduce its greenhouse gas emission? Somewhat more, I guess, because in the same issue with climate change, like to be very specific, climate change, any action that you can do for that, like, it's too late, okay? Any action will be in 100 years that you will see the impact. So you have to keep that in mind. So even if you act immediately or whatever, you won't see it. You won't see it at all. So the point is to prepare yourself for a better future, but for your children or for whatever's going after you. And therefore you need to do efforts, but you don't have to rush about it. You just have to prepare yourself and make actual effort, not just saying, oh yeah, I will do it. Just do it. So somewhat more is the solution. Much more, it's stupid. Somewhat less, I feel like it's ignorance or just laziness. So yeah, somewhat more. Quebec shall, as a nation, in the Constitution. I don't see the whole point. I don't like the Constitution anyway. The Constitution is shit in Canada. Like, because it's not true. The Canadian Constitution is so bad. It's so bad because I don't see when people actually take the Constitution into consideration, which is such a shame. Anyway, so somewhat disagree, neutral, something like that. I just don't care. I don't care. Canada should decriminalize possession of illicit drug for personal use. Somewhat agree. I feel like people should be able to take their own decision. And meanwhile, if you can nationalize the drug production, yeah, sure. Putting tax and so on. Give people access to interesting support groups. And even quality, because one of the issue with drugs right now is that they're cutting it with so many other shits that make their life at risk, that it might be interesting to just have pure cocaine on the street made by the Canadian government. I'm saying that, but it's it's an example that is a bit far-fetched, but that's my point. So I somewhat agree. Abortions, much more. I feel like abortion should be for everyone that needs it. I'm pro-choice. Simply that I just don't care about the babies. I don't believe in God. I don't think that their life matter that much. For the same reason that I wouldn't mind to kill a cow. Well, me personally, maybe, but because it's a lot of blood and very messy, and I'm not sure if I want that, but... But like, see, if on that standpoint I can kill an animal without any issue, I shall be able to kill a fetus without any issue, and that's pretty much it, huh? Morally speaking, that's how it is. How much should the Canadian government spend on police services? One of my issue with that is, like, how can I tell if the money we spent on police is well spent and doesn't go for stupid shit? And I have the tendency to say, yeah, it goes for stupid shit. It doesn't go for more training. It goes for a shit ton of equipment that is more or less necessary. I'm not sure if I like that. So I will say somewhat less. I feel like they're having too much money because they're not spending it properly. That's pretty much what I think. Now, am I right to think like that? Maybe not, but I'm gonna have to talk a bit more about that subject to know the topic, right? People should be required to show proof of no, I'm not vaccinated myself. I'm not planning to have any vaccination, and I don't like to force people to do stuff like that while people are following the protocol, like the 2 meters distance and the mask. It should be enough, right? Now the vaccination, it's good and all, but they shouldn't force people. So I somewhat disagree. The federal government should give priority for visible minorities when hiring. Strongly disagree. I just don't care about minorities. They can go fuck themselves. I don't like anything that is show a preference for a group of people. I think we should live in an equal society, and therefore we shouldn't force our hand. We should take the most competent person, and that's it. And that's how it should be. And by doing that, well, you're doing the opposite. So strongly disagree. How much say should indigenous people have over how Canadian natural resources are used? Much less. I just, again, don't care about indigenous. They should be Canadian citizen, and that's it. So the whole specific laws and treatment for indigenous, I don't like that. The federal government should guarantee minimum income for all Canadian adults, regardless of whether or not they have a job. Strongly agree. I think the universal income is something interesting to think and to implement, and I feel like there is more to gain than to lose by doing so. Now, I guess you have to keep in mind the corruption of this kind of system, but meanwhile we're talking about so little money that it's not that bad. So I strongly agree. Canada should end its ties to the British monarchy. Strongly agree. Again, I didn't talk about that before, but yeah, British monarchy just shouldn't be there anymore. Like, it shouldn't be part of our identity at all. Fuck the Queen. And meanwhile, when she's gonna die, we're gonna have to change all our money and put the face of the other guy on it. It will be awful. Canada laws against hate speech place too many limits on freedom of expression. Strongly agree. Again, if someone wants to say something, he should be free to do so. If he's an actual risk or an actual threat for someone else or a group of individual, now you shall take action, and that's it. Canada shall rename public space which are currently named after historical figures accused of racism. Every historical figures are racist. I don't see an exception to that. To some extent, to live with their time, and their time is racist. So we shouldn't take that into consideration, actually. So I somewhat disagree that we should rename everyone, because everyone will be accused at some point of racism. You cannot do without that. Or if it's not racism, it will be bigotry, or it will be crime, or it will be something else, right? So if you don't want that, just name about, I don't know, a dog or a cat who saved the life of someone. Yeah, animals are safe, but people, nah, they will always have controversy. How much should the Canadian government take commands of its past? Much less. I just don't care. The federal budget deficit shall be reduced. I strongly disagree. I don't care about the budget deficit, actually. As long as the government is running, and the Canada is one of the G8 country who has the less budget deficit, and therefore I feel like the solution is to raise that deficit. Just invest in the country, do infrastructure, give services, build, have fun with the money, as long as you can. How much of a role should the private? Much less. I don't care. I hate private sector. I don't think it shall exist. How high should the federal minimum wage be? About the same right now. In Alberta, it's $15 per hour. I feel like that should be the standpoint for everyone, and I think that's enough. That's enough. You don't have to raise that, and you don't have to reduce that either. I think it's perfect as it is. Some provinces pay more than their fair share of support the rest of the country. So that's how the province system works. If you have a problem with that, change the constitution, change the system, and that's it. Because you cannot do without that. That's how the country works. And if you want to change that, you're gonna have to bring another system, and therefore I'm not sure if it's actually the solution, but that's how it is. So deal with it. And if you're unhappy, well, province, right? Get rid of provinces. There's too many provinces anyway. So I guess disagree. Yeah, deal with that or change everything. All Canadians shall have access to government-funded prescription drug. Yeah, strongly agree. Because the point with that is I prefer the government to be able to deal with big pharma instead of just an individual that spend like hundreds and thousands of dollars on their drugs, like not just like illegal drugs, but legal drugs. And I feel like if the government can reduce the prices, it will be better for everyone. About the same right now. Wealthier people pay in taxes. What I would like is a tax system that is just the same for everyone. Like everyone is paying 10% no matter how much money you have. I feel, again, that idea of being in an equal society is important for me. And so for now I will say about the same, but I guess it's less because I don't like discrimination against rich people. Thinking it's fine, whatever, I don't care. If you want to redistribute the wealth, don't do it by taxes. Do it by something else. How much money should the federal government give to Canadians whose employment was disturbed by COVID-19 pandemic? I was able to touch that money, and therefore I'm quite happy with what I receive. So I guess about the same or even less that was good enough. I think the government did a good job with that. Again, I'm perhaps a bit biased with this kind of question, but Canada human rights law. I feel like for transgender, even for transgender, it's quite important to know what their original gender is. So I somewhat disagree. Even for health perspective, like knowing if someone is a male or a woman seems important. So yeah, no new wall. I strongly disagree. Just build it. Like, I care about the environment, but I also care about the economy, and I feel like a pipeline won't do much of a difference. How much should be done to accommodate religious? Much less. I mean, everyone should be able to deal with their own religion, and they have a lot of freedom already. So no discrimination. Like right now, the first religion in Canada is atheism, and and that already that's that's a good example of how the religious places and society is getting less and less anyway. So it doesn't matter. So I guess, yeah, much less. So somewhat the same, actually, because again, like, I feel like people have already enough accommodation and freedom of religion. Only those who speak both English and French should be considered. Yeah. Okay, so, like, see, right now I'm speaking English, but it's definitely not my first language, and my English is not great either. So yeah, just do the effort. Speak both. It's a bilingual government, right? So yeah, strongly agree. How much tax shall large corporation pay? Somewhat more, I guess. See, there's a difference between individual and corporation. Because individual should be equal, but corporation, no. Like, you want to do business in Canada, yeah, you're gonna have to pay, dude. And meanwhile, you have to make sure that the money they're paying is not like fraudulent money, because corporations have a tendency to just go to tax paradise and just don't pay anything, and therefore, like, I have no mercy for them. Yeah, force them. So now it's the party, so that's 0. I don't think I will ever support the PPC. Okay, maybe 1, because I'm kind. Because I kind of like Maxime Bernier to some extent, but I'm not conservative. The Green is 0, Conservative is 0, the NDP is 0, the Liberal... No, 0. Bloc Québécois, if I were in Quebec, maybe, to some extent, I like them. So I will give a 4. It's less likely, we'll say that. But I'm not in Quebec, so I don't care about the Bloc. Anyway, 0, because, well, Calgary, right? I live in Calgary, the NDP will never win that. Very likely, maybe a 9, 0, of course. Liberal, there is some people voting for Liberal here, but I will give it 2. But, this guy, maybe a 3. Green Party, I don't believe that. Yep. I just... Okay, how competent do you find Annemie Paul? I don't know her, and she lost her election, so I will put I don't know. Yves-François Blanchet, I find him very competent, and I trust him too, and I like him personally. He seems like a very nice guy. So 8... competence. I mean, he's competent of manipulating and using the government as his own little puppet. So I can give him credit for that, so I will say a 2. Erin O'Toole, I don't know him, but I prefer to give him a 5 and give him the benefits of the doubt instead of just don't know. Jack Minson, same thing. I mean, like, I have no reason to think that he's competent, but I have no reason to think that he's incompetent. So, Maxime Bernier, that's I don't know. I don't know how Maxime Bernier can do as a leader because never had any seats. So yeah, don't know. Trustworthy 0. Trustworthy 5 again. Like I mean, I can trust him that he will just go forward this agenda. So maybe a 7 because yeah, conservative. He looks fine. I think he's saying what he think and he will achieve them. Now, will I give more? Probably not. And then we pull. I don't know. Jack Minson, a bit like the conservative O'Toole, but maybe a bit less because he can. I feel like he's the kind of guy that can say something and be like, yeah, well, maybe not, right? And Maxime Bernier, I don't know. Yeah. I should maybe give a bit more for that. Anyway, and here's my result for all of that thing. So I think it's the same that what I had before. So yeah, I'm a leftist conservative. Make a lot of sense. So yeah, I'm closer to the Bloc Québécois for some reason. What a surprise! But again, I'm against the independence of Quebec. So yeah, you can take it as you want. And I wish you a good day and have fun.